So I know it's been a while since I reviewed the Boruto anime, so with this video I'm mainly going to cover the last month or so of episodes that was basically centered around the field trip to the Hidden Mist Village, or the Bloody Mist Village, whatever the heck you want to call it. I think the Bloody Mist Village is a cooler title, but we're in the new era. The Bloody Mist Village is over, and with this arc it was dealing with a lot of people that they can't accept it, especially these younger kids. They can't accept the fact that times have changed and we're in an era of peace now, so there's no need to be called the Bloody Mist Village anymore. Now there's a lot to say about several different aspects about this arc. I think that this was one of the first original arcs that dealt with things where it's like, okay, it's not only dealing with the new era, but it's also dealing with aspects of the old era, and its original content is not based on anything Masashi Kishimoto wrote previously or whatever. I will say some of the highlights of this arc was definitely the art and animation for key fights like the Sarada versus that one chick that was trying to, you know, become a new 7 swordsman or whatever. I think the art and animation of that was awesome. It showcased that Sarada is such a fucking awesome character. Absolutely love Sarada in that fight. Then it showcased something that I've been saying for a while. Like, if we had to have a new main character that wasn't Boruto, it should be Sarada without a doubt. I think that Sarada is more interesting as of right now than Boruto. She has cooler fights. It was cool to see her learning more about her Sharingan, training more, and the art and animation, everything about it. It was like, I really like Sarada. She's one of my favorites of the new generation, because not only when she gets spotlight, it makes the story exciting, she has really cool fights, and it's a little chick, you know what I'm saying? I always think it's cool when you got a little female that can kick some ass, and Sarada Uchiha definitely one of the highlights of this arc. Other cool fight that we had was the Boruto versus Shizuma and Kagura, but especially the versus Shizuma stuff, and then when Kagura jumped in because Shizuma lost his mind. Art and animation, very fluid and solid, and really good looking. Those were some of the really high points of this arc, and it was also the climax of it, so rightfully so, they put a lot of time and effort into making those fights look pretty damn cool. Now, with that being said, in the beginning of this arc, a lot of setup, and honestly, it felt very slow in the beginning. When it picked up very nicely, and it started getting a little more exciting and interesting. And I also appreciated the references back to the previous 7 swordsmen and the previous way that the Hidden Mist was compared to it now. Let's talk about Chojuro. Ooh, Chojuro. I say right now, personally, I think Mei should still be the Mizukage. Without a shadow of a doubt, I think that Mei is still a better Mizukage. I think that Chojuro, power-wise, is way weaker than Mei. I think he still has a lot to learn about certain aspects. And mind you, I will say one thing, okay? When he was tied up and those new 7 swordsmen or whatever were basically trying to torture him and lead to killing him or whatever, yeah, he was completely holding back to try and understand them and possibly reason with them. But I still feel as though for a few Genin, I think they're Genin, they might be Chunin or something, but they look all like a bunch of fresh Genin to me, maybe slightly older than Boruto or whatever, so maybe they're Chunin, at most Jonin, but I doubt they're Jonin. But either way, for this group of kids to do what they did to Chojuro, mind you, he was holding back, it was just kind of like, huh? Do you think Onoki would have allowed some shit like that? Do you think that the previous Raikage, or even the new Raikage, Darui, would allow some shit like that? That's one thing why I like the Raikage. Yeah, there were certain times where I was like, okay bro, you too high-headed, you being an idiot, but in a situation like that, he wouldn't have allowed shit. He would have went and straight murked all of those little wannabes. So I was kind of like, out of all the new Kage and most of the Kage in general, I will say that Chojuro is definitely one of my least favorite, and he's not the greatest Kage in the world. Mind you, he did make a smart move by not creating a diplomatic problem and going along with Boruto's little scheme of saying, it's just a fight between children and shit like that. But I don't know, personally, I'm just not a big fan of Chojuro either, especially after this arc. I really can't fucks with Chojuro. Give me Mei back. And like, even though Mei was handling some of the political things and seeing those people that were trying to go along with Shizuma's rebellion or whatever, Mei is way stronger, way smarter. Give me Mei all the way. Mei should still be the Mizukage until we find somebody else, because Chojuro, he's just not cutting the mustard for me, bro. I mean, as a whole, this arc, it was an okay arc. I think it was pretty interesting. Definitely trying once again to not completely rely on the previous generation for like making an interesting story. They try to handle it with the new characters, with Shizuma and all these other guys, and then of course our class, Boruto, etc, etc. Mitsuki, really interesting. It was cool to see Mitsuki. It seems as though he, for the most part, went all out against Shizuma. Shizuma obviously having the Samehara was a little bit difficult. You see the Samehada, in my opinion anyway, that's the most strongest of all the 7 swords. Mitsuki was gonna get his ass kind of, you know, handed to him, especially Shizuma. While he's a weakling in terms of, like, you know, somebody like Naruto or Sasuke would body him in a second, he was somewhat formidable against kids that they're not even technically Genin yet, Boruto and them, so they're not even Genin, so obviously they were going to kind of get their shit wrecked or whatever, but it was still nonetheless interesting to see Mitsuki going in. Honestly, with Sarada, Mitsuki will be a close second to one of my favorites, and that really rocked this arc. I like seeing Mitsuki, you know, just even the Sly shit. I'm kind of curious why she could die, and that other kid, I forget, Sai's child or whatever, but I'm kind of curious why they didn't say anything to anybody about they saw Mitsuki in the back alleys with Suigetsu doing some kind of shady shit, because right there, that's kind of Mitsuki's cover blown, because Mitsuki's trying really hard to, yeah, I'm just a transfer student, I'm a normal kid, but there's clearly a darker side to him, so kind of curious why they kept their mouths shut of him getting this info and dealing with, you know, kind of some shady people when it's like, he's part of this class, what's going on here, so a little curious there, but Mitsuki rocked it with this arc, and it's interesting to see where he's just kind of like being a bystander and really looking at Boruto for not necessarily guidance, but to see who he truly is and should he follow in his footsteps or kind of be an aid to him. And for the most part, he's been an aid to him. Even in the latest episode, which was the episode after the class trip or whatever, it wasn't all that, honestly. I wasn't really feeling the episode. It was kind of slice of life and Boruto trying to get a gift for Himawari. I'm kind of getting sick of these gift episodes. What's going on here? But Mitsuki, he was even gonna wreck an old lady, bro. So I fucks with Mitsuki very heavy, especially in this arc. It was also nice to see people like Suigetsu. Suigetsu still kind of in the shadows. And apparently Orochimaru's still up to some crazy shit, because you see in the latest episode of Orochimaru, he was trying to use these kids for whatever. So also hints that Orochimaru isn't done with his shady bullshit yet. Interesting to see Orochimaru as always, but as a whole, the arc, it was okay. It was a decent arc, especially for original material, dealing with the new generation. I think Shizuma, his reasoning was very, very stupid. Like, people argue Obito's reasoning for starting this war was, hey, over a dead little girl, but Shizuma literally was just starting this because, hey, I think war is fun. Like, you are a entitled, spoiled little shit if that's your reasoning for trying to start a giant rebellion and a war. You're an entitled little scumbag, so definitely Shizuma's reasoning behind what he was doing, is like, a reasoning is very important for an antagonist, or a villain for that matter, and Shizuma's reasoning was absolute garbage. It's like, you're an entitled little shithead, so I was glad he got wrecked, and even the Samehada betrayed him in the end, because it was like, you're doing this because of what? Because you want a quick chuckle, mate? War is no chuckles, bro. Kagura, I wish by the end of this arc a couple things were revealed. I don't think Shizuma ever said, which I'm pretty sure it was revealed in information about the show, that Shizuma is actually Kisame's son, but I don't think it was ever actually revealed in the show. Also, I would have liked for Kagura to have found out Yagura wasn't actually evil. Now, granted, the whole theme and premise of this arc was you don't need to follow in your parents' footsteps. Just because your father was a great person or an evil person doesn't mean that you need to follow in those footsteps. So Kagura was trying to go against, well, Yagura was supposedly this horrible person, and he was conflicted, especially with Shizuma in his ear or whatever. And Boruto's like, yeah, the same thing, except opposite. My father is this great thing, but that don't mean I gotta necessarily follow him becoming Hokage or some shit. I'm me, you're you. So interesting little premise that they tried there, and honestly it was just an okay solid little arc. Nothing extravagant, some cool art and animation with the key fights, but very slow to take off, and it was kind of like it was nice. If you would call it like filler-esque, then this was really good filler. But if you would classify it as okay, showing more growth, like Sarada training her Sharingan, Boruto getting a little more fights in there and leading to them eventually becoming Genin, then cool shit for that. But I'm kind of curious what you guys thought about this little arc, this field trip to the Hidden Mist. What did you think about the fights? How did you feel about the new 7 swordsmen? Personally, majority of them were crusty, especially when your leader is doing all of this because he wants some laughs. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? What do you think about that? Who do you think had the best fight in this? Person, I think Sarada, without a shadow of a doubt. Do you think that, honestly, all jokes aside, Sarada would be a better main character for the Boruto series than Boruto himself? Also, what did you think about Kagura, Shizuma, and everything about this? Do you think that Chojuro is one of the worst Kage, not just, you know, Mizukage, just worst Kage we've seen thus far? Granted, he was playing around, but these were a few Genin. You should have just grabbed them all, smacked them up, and called it a day. And your overall thoughts of this previous arc? Honestly, solid stuff, not the greatest in the world, especially compared to the Sarada Gaiden stuff. It ain't nothing great or anything like that, but it was okay. But that's all I have for this one though. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and do a little stalking on my Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And as always, people, anime and manga for life, boy. Bow. Have an awesome day.